Hi everyone. So this video is meant to go through how I'm planning on setting up meetings. A question I got was, Dave, what are all the settings that I should set up for a Zoom meeting? Now I'm going to preface this with a little asterisk. I'm not sure how well this is going to work. I'm going mostly on the assumption of just testing out a few things by logging as on my phone as a second person, and just how I assume some of this stuff's going to work. But we're not currently in session yet, so a lot of this hasn't been thoroughly tested, but this is at least where I'm going to start that first week of school. And if I need to make modifications, I can. So where I'm at is I'm in my web browser and I'm in my Zoom account. Okay, I can't do this through the app. I'm going to do this through the actual website. So I go to San Diego Unified, all one word, .zoom.us, and I'm under meetings. And so what I'm going to do is take you through the logic of how I'm setting up my meetings, at least my thought process as far as why I'm clicking or unclicking certain options. All right, so I'm going to schedule a new meeting. And let's say I'm doing period one. So I'm going to change this to period one. Oops. And I'll put a description. This is my Math A class. And then for when. I'm going to do this by the week. So I'm going to set it for Monday. And in this case, this class would be at 8 in the morning. So 8 a.m. And just in case, I think I'll set it for 2 hours. Rather than getting the minutes specific, I'll just go 2 hours. Pacific time, good. Now, here's one thing I'm going to click, reoccurring meeting. I don't want to have to do this on a daily basis. So rather than do that, I can set up this meeting for the entire week. And so right here, I'll set the reoccurrences daily, repeat every 1 day, and then it's going to put the end date. I'm going to make it Friday. So now I've got it going from the 24th to the 28th, Monday through Friday. And the reason why I did that, the reason why I put the end date and didn't put it later, was when I went through these options, there was no option here for weekdays only. If I did daily and put the end date further, I'd have meetings scheduled on Saturdays and Sundays and things like that. And I thought that might cause confusion, even though I know no kid's going to log in on a weekend. So my plan is to just go back to this every Sunday night and just have it ready to go for that specific week. Plus the fact too, unforeseen things happen. We're changing the school schedule sometimes for special days. So I thought it'd be better to go week by week. All right. Now, I know some people have used this in the past. I'm going to try to do without, which is registration. If you click this box, what that means is that whoever enters your meeting has to type in their first name, their last name, and their email address. And I get that, it's for identification purposes, attendance, things like that. But I think I've got something else that's going to take the place of that. So I'm not going to require that. I'm not going to require the passcode either. And again, what I'm going to talk about later, hopefully we'll take care of that. But I am going to click waiting room. I would like it that I can control the kids in terms of who gets in my room when, and just, wait until I am ready. Now, the other reason for that is I am planning on using the waiting room as like what we have at school. It's like a timeout. If I got a kid who's just out of hand and I need them to cool off, I need to cool off, I put them out in the hallway for 10 minutes. Well, that's how I'm planning on using the waiting room. Is if I've got the waiting room clicked and I'm teaching class and a kid's just being obnoxious and I have to boot them out, my plan is to have them understand the expectation is their job is to try to log back in, but they're going to sit in the waiting room for like 5 minutes, 10 minutes to cool their jets, and then later I can let them in. So that waiting room can act as kind of like a timeout area. Video, I like to leave both of these off. You never like to have your video on until you're prepared and you've gathered yourself. And then I've just left this at the default audio, telephone, and computer audio. Now, meeting options. Definitely would leave this clicked off. I don't want the kids to be able to join my meeting before I can. That I think is just going to cause a host of problems if you've got students in there before you're in there. Mute participants upon entry. Definitely going to leave that clicked on. My plan is to just go with the kids that I'd like them to stay muted. But if they have something to say, they can just hold down the space bar on their keyboard and then talk. And that way the space bar is like a toggle for their microphone. Now, here's the one. This is probably the key one for me. I'm going to click this one. Only authenticated users can join. Since this isn't the generic Zoom account, this is the district's Zoom website, which means it's going through their server. And so they've put in these different options here. And so the one I'm going to use is this top one. San Diego Unified students and staff can join. And so what'll happen is Zoom will authenticate them before they can come in. So they either have to have a stu.sandy.net email or a sandy.net email. And if they don't, I've already tested this out. As they try to log in, it'll say need authentication, change your email login. And so there'll be a little button there to change account, and they can switch to their sandy.net or stu.sandy.net account. Because the question kept coming up, what are we going to do about those kids last year who were jumping on the family computer, but the last person to use Zoom was their mom for work? And so they were logging in as their mom rather than themselves, and it caused all sorts of confusion. Well, this should avoid that. Plus the fact that if they're using their sandy.net accounts, well, then they have to log in. So that takes care of the password piece as well. Another password up here would just be kind of redundant. So I'm hoping this authenticated users, where I click students and staff, is going to replace registering the kids ahead of time or doing any kind of passcode security, that their district account should be enough security. I'm going to leave this one clicked, add a watermark that identifies the viewing participant, meaning that if they have their video off, you at least get that little square with the letter, which tells me, which person, or at least the first initial. Now, this one I haven't played around with, but I definitely am going to. Breakout room pre-assigned. For now, I'm going to leave that clicked off, but I might try this out later, because when I clicked on it, I got this option to create rooms, which looked kind of a headache because you'd have to, I don't have anything to create with right now, but what I liked was this, import from CSV, a spreadsheet file. When I clicked on that, up at the top, there was a template. And when I looked at the template, it looked really simple. All you needed was two things for this breakout room. Here's the spreadsheet file I'm opening up. All you need is which breakout room you want to put them in and their email address. Okay, in which we can get these later on. There were other videos I was talking about where we could download this information. So it'd be a real simple thing to just drag and drop the different people in the different rooms. So all you have to do is type in room 1, room 2, room 3, and so forth, and then type in their email addresses, or even better, copy and paste, and then save it. And so, like I said, I haven't tried this out, but my understanding is once I save this right here, I could drag and drop that file right here, or just browse to look it up. And now, if I were to save that, when I do breakout rooms, they go to specific groups that I've set up. Okay, and I think this would be really good to just, once you get to know your kids, who would work well with who other people. Maybe you want some of our special needs kids all in one group, so your co-teacher or your classroom aide can help out with that specific breakout room. But it's got all sorts of potential. It's just a matter of having to think about it ahead of time. So for now, I'll leave that unclicked, but I definitely plan on revisiting that in the future. I'm going to leave this one off. I think we've still been talking about the recording is not something we can do just because we'd have to have everyone's permission. Leave that blank, and we don't need this either. So pretty much that's my setup. So I'm going to save that. So what'll happen is when I go, so here's it just verifying everything, period 1, math 8, and all the settings that I set up are listed here. When I go back to my meetings, you'll notice it's scheduled it Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. All the same meeting ID and all the same requirements. Now, I'm going to click back into this. I don't want to have to redo all those settings every single time, every week I do this. So the next thing I would do is go back into any one of those meetings. I just clicked on Mondays. And then right down close to the bottom, there's this option, Save as a Meeting Template. I'm going to click that. I'm going to call this my period 1 template. Let's just leave it period 1 in case that shows up later. And then save the reoccurrence. I'm going to keep that too. All right, so now I've got a save template. So now let's go back to meetings. Let's say it's the second week of school. And I can do this one of two ways. I'll just do it this way. I'm going to schedule a new meeting. But rather than retyping in everything, what I'm going to do is right here, this third option down, select a template. There's my period 1 template. And notice how everything changed. period 1, math 8, reoccurring meeting, and everything is all set to go. I think the only thing I'll need to change, though, is the dates. So now I'll have to put the next week, maybe the 31st. And then, okay. So something to learn. Looks like the only thing it didn't save is the fact that I only wanted to save up to 5 days. So it went out every day, 7 occurrences. So maybe that's something I'll have to play around with, but looks like it won't save the fact that I wanted to have it reoccur only 5 days through. So maybe you leave that unchecked when you save the template. Oh, here we go. That was weird. It wasn't showing up before. So here's what I did. I unclicked it, re-clicked it, learned something new every day. And so now I can just set the end date. So instead of after 7 occurrences, I can have it end off here on Friday. And so it'll go those 5 days. So that's the only thing you'll have to mess around with. Everything else we've set up is still there. Waiting room, leaving video off, the authenticated users only. And now I've got another 5 days of meetings all set to go. All right. So my plan is I'm going to have a period 1 template, a period 2 template, and a period 3 template. Every weekend, I'll just set those up for the following week. And hopefully if I go back to my meetings, I'll see all those meetings scheduled, ready to go on the particular dates and times, and I don't have to do a thing. Okay. All right. I hope that helps a little bit. Like I said, this was my thought process and my work through. I'm sure there's some things that maybe I missed or maybe I'm assuming are working one way or really going to work another, but I guess I'll find all that out when the school year starts. So anyways, I hope this was helpful, and thanks for listening.